Hello and welcome to our East Stroudsburg United Methodist Church Faith Conversation podcast. And we're thrilled to have a longtime member of this church, Sue Werkheiser, as our guest. Sue, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So we have a few questions for you, as we do on the show. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I was born and raised in Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania. Went to Stroudsburg High School, East Stroudsburg College. It was East Stroudsburg Teachers College back then, and then I did my graduate work at Marywood College in Dunmore, Pennsylvania.
Good.
So I started in health and physical education, and my master's is in secondary counseling.
Beautiful.
And then I was a professional bowler for a while, and then I joined the LPGA. I've been a member for 55 years now as a golf professional.
Wonderful. So you've always lived here in the Poconos.
Yep, except for the 5 years I did my graduate work. I actually lived in Marywood. I actually lived in Scranton for 5 days a week and would come home on weekends.
Okay. So how did you end up in East Stroudsburg United Methodist Church?
My parents, they were members here early, and so that I was introduced to here through my parents.
Okay. That's wonderful. So what kind of work did you do earlier on?
I started working when I was 14 years old. I worked for a florist in Stroudsburg, Bender's Gardens, and then I worked at the bowling alley, Colonial Lanes. I worked there for 22 years, and then I worked at Mountain Manor, which is a golf facility and resort, and I was there for 41 years.
That's great. So we want to explore a little bit about your faith journey, so how you came to the Lord and how that faith has inspired you. Because in this podcast, we try to delve into how our faith influences our life, our decision making, our relationships, and how that faith is taking our lives forward.
Well, I grew up in the church, and then when I went to college, I don't say lost faith, but I felt like God didn't care or whatever. So I have a poem here, wherever it is, and it takes about 2 minutes, and this is kind of what I went through this for college and graduate school. I lived by this. It's called Desiderata. It only takes 2 minutes to read. It says, "Go placidly amid the noise and the haste. Remember what peace there may be in silence. As far as possible, without surrender, be on good terms with all persons. Speak your truth quietly and clearly. Listen to others, even the dull and the ignorant. They too have their story. Avoid loud and aggressive persons. They are vexations to the spirit. If you compare yourself with others, you may become vain and bitter, for always there will be greater and lesser persons than yourself. Enjoy your achievements as well as your plans. Keep interested in your own career, however humble. It is a real possession in the changing fortunes of time. Exercise caution in your business affairs, for the world is full of trickery. But let this not blind you to what virtue there is. Many persons strive for high ideals, and everywhere life is full of heroism. Be yourself, especially do not feign affection. Neither be cynical about love, for the face of all aridity and disenchantment, it is perennial as the grass. Take kindly the counsel of years, gracefully surrendering to the things of youth. Nurture strength of spirit to shield you in sudden misfortune, but do not distress yourself with imaginings. Many fears are born of fatigue and loneliness. Beyond a wholesome discipline, be gentle with yourself. You are a child of the universe, no less than the trees or the stars. You have a right to be here. And whether or not it is clear to you, no doubt the universe is as unfolding as it should. Therefore, be at peace with God. Whatever aspirations in the noisy confusion of life, keep your peace with your soul. With all sham and drudgery and broken dreams, it is still a beautiful world. Be careful, strive, and be happy." So as I came back to the church, I had left for a long, long time, and as I came back to the church, I realized that a lot of that poem aligns with the Bible. Love thy neighbor, and take care of others, and don't judge people, don't judge yourself, but just go with the flow. And then when it says at the end, it says things are unfolding as they should. We never know what God has planned, but we know that whatever comes forward, God has a hand in it.
Wow, that's very interesting. So, based on that, you try to live your life based on the scriptures as well?
Yes, I do. I mean, it's I was very judgmental. As a youngster, as growing up, I was very introverted and very judgmental. I didn't go out to meet people. I didn't do all of that. And then through going to graduate school, I kind of realized that I had to change. Okay. And I couldn't expect other people to change for me, and I had to be the person that changes for them.
That's great. Now, has there been some challenges in your life that you have applied your faith to be able to help sustain you?
Yes, I had a near-death experience driving home from when I was a bowling professional, driving home from Indiana. I was there for a tournament, and I had a near-death experience, and it kind of woke me up to the point that if you saw it, you would say, "Oh my God, how'd she live through that?" And the truckers did the same thing. It was like the Keystone Cops. As my car was doing 390s all the way down the road, the truckers were coming out. But I was driving a luxury Le Mans, and the whole front end of the car went under a tractor trailer.
Wow.
And so I thought I was dead because I was on ice. And I just let go of the steering wheel. And then when I opened my eyes, the bar for the trailer was right there. And so the truckers were there, and they were very, very helpful. And they backed my car out from underneath this trailer. There wasn't a scratch on my car.
Wow.
There wasn't a scratch on my windshield. Nothing. So it was like, after that, I said, okay, this was, to me, it was a miracle that I survived this. And so I said, I don't know what the plan is, God, but obviously you have a plan for me because this isn't the first time, So kind of from there, and then I met a young man that I grew up with and I didn't know, and when I was interviewed for a bowling thing, this thing came up, and he had become a minister, and he talked to me, called me up, and he said, "Sue, it's Doug Giffels. I'm a minister now, and I'm really impressed with, what happened to you and how you responded to it."
Wow. So how did that make you feel,
Well, when Doug called me, you mean?
And the whole experience.
Well, the whole experience scared the crap out of me. But the whole experience made me realize that there was no way I could survive that accident without some hand of God in there. So to me, it was like, wake up. There's something I need you to do. I don't know what it is, and I still don't know what it is. But I came back to the church through Mary Schneider. She used to be the soup kitchen advisor. And I one day brought a turkey over to her, and she said, "Oh, come to the soup kitchen." And I did for quite a while. And so that's how I kind of got back into the church, was serving at the soup kitchen. And as you know, I've been 15 years at the Salvation Army, 5 days a week working there.
Yeah. So now you guys do a lot of work like East Stroudsburg. What are some of the things you do in terms of helping people in the community?
Well, with the community meet here at the church, when I get done at Salvation Army, I come over and do the community meal here. At the Salvation Army, we distribute once a month. We have a distribution that people sign up for, and then they come once a month and get food. After 2019, because of COVID, now we do it. It's a drive-through. It used to be that they could just shop. We were an open pantry, which we are not now. Okay. And so we get food in. We are the distributor for the 5 different food pantries. So when we get food in from the state, it comes to us, and then the other food pantries come to us, and we give it to them.
Wonderful, wonderful. So how would you tell others who, maybe struggling with their faith or maybe wondering where God is in their life, how they can also, continue to trust God?
Well, to introduce somebody to God, I'm not sure. I mean, I tell my story, and that's how I was, reunited with God. I can tell you that I realize now that the working of God in my life through that poem and through the fact that, as you know, I lost my mother, father, and sister, and this church was what saved me. They were there for me all the time. All the members of the church, you were there.
Thank you.
And so that kind of is what I would do is tell my story, and that if it wasn't for the church, I don't know what I would have done with the passing of my family.
Wow. Well, once again, so sorry about that.
No, it is. That's people die, and that's God's way of taking home those that He loves. But and like I said, if it wasn't for this church, I would have had a very, very hard time with it.
I'm glad that the church and all of us could be there for you. Now, apart from the poem, is there is there a book or the Bible verse or some kind of thing that you gravitate toward?
I've read a lot of books. Through the LPGA, we took a lot of schooling. I did a lot of schooling, and a lot of it was self-improvement, mental issues, and things like that. So I've read a tremendous amount of books. Bible verse would be, "Do unto others as you would have them do unto you." That's one, and another one would be.
They call that one the golden rule,
Yeah, the golden rule, right?
And I always say, well, the golden rule is the one where the gold makes the rules. I'm just kidding,
But the other one would be to help your neighbor as yourself.
Yeah, love your neighbor as yourself.
Yeah,
yeah.
And to worship God first, and then love thy neighbor as thyself.
Yeah.
That would be, I mean. And our church here is all about helping the community and being out there. So when people come to the Salvation Army and they ask me, I just tell them that my church is community-oriented, and I am doing this service at the Salvation Army as a community outreach for my church.
Wonderful. Well, this is amazing. And so now let's just veer off a little bit to your bowling thing, because I know a lot of people don't know that about you. So did you win any awards or tournaments and things like that?
Well, I won a WASA event when I was on the WASA tour. I was a pro bowler then, but I was bowling the WASA tour, and I was in Northport, New York, and I bowled in a house that was they said nobody could score high in this house. So I qualified. It took 12 games qualifying, and I had 12 games over 200, not 100. And so we went into the finals, and all 6 games in the finals were over 200. And the manager said he would give $1,000 to anybody that shot a 300 in his facility. And I shot 277. I had 11 out of 12 strikes. And he gave me the $1,000 anyway.
Wow!
And I had, at that point in time, I had the highest record of any man or woman in his facility.
That's amazing. That's a very high achievement. Very high achievement. So, what, for those who may be listening, and know we put this on our YouTube page and also on our website, and now Manny is able to put it on other platforms. So people will be watching, and you're going to have a lot of views, and they'll be watching Sue on this podcast. Now, what would you, if there is a word of encouragement or a word of inspiration for those who are out there listening, what would you say to them?
I would say never give up. Not necessarily just because you don't win are you a failure. Okay? You can reach out to other people and help them improve, and they may improve and go beyond you, but you should be happy that you had a hand in making them a better person or making their game better or whatever you strive to do. I do a lot of teaching. I'm an LPGA teacher, so I do a lot of teaching, and it thrills me more when the student hits a golf ball and they look at it and they go, "Wow, did I do that?" You know, because they don't think they have it in them, but they do have it in them. And what I tell them is, I have more faith in you than you have in yourself, okay? So let me just tell you this. You did it once, you can do it again. It may take you 1,000 more times before you do it again, but you can do it again.
Very good. We also like to tell people that they have to apply their faith into action. You know, like you serve at the Salvation Army, you also come to the community meal to serve. How can what other words of encouragement can you give people who may be wondering, how can I, what can I do, or how can I be of service, to someone? What would you say to them?
Well, you can look up on your phone. The phones are anything now. So you could ask Siri, what are the opportunities for me to go out in the community and help? I mean, I cook. Is there a place I can go and cook for the day? Is there a person I might be able to make a meal for that needs a meal, that I know needs a meal, and just take it to them? Not necessarily do I have to tell them I gave it to them. Mm-hmm. I can just put it on the porch, knock on the door, and go away. Things like I have a lady in this community, and so things like she comes in every now and then when I go to this particular place to get coffee, and sometimes she'll come in, and so I'll buy her coffee for her. She doesn't know who bought it. She doesn't know where it came from. But just do it. Acts of kindness.
Wonderful.
Just small acts of kindness where somebody, you go through drive-through and you say to the person, what's the person behind me? What's their bill? Okay, $10.98. Here's $11. Their meal is paid for. Let them go and you pay for it. So it's just random acts of kindness is what it's about.
That's wonderful. Well, random act of kindness goes a long way to make our community better, to make a person's life better. So before we wrap up, I'm so glad that you came on. And just one last question. One last question. It's good. It's easy. About what you love about East Stroudsburg, the community and the church as well.
I think growing up here, and of course I grew up, I'm 78, so I grew up a lot. We were kids. We all mingled, like East Stroudsburg. But we played kick the can. We played town chase, and it was, you just felt like you had community there, or you had somebody there to do things with. I think part of that is this community is so welcoming to most people. And I think that we need to be more welcoming to people who are different from us. And I think that I had the opportunity to, as I grew up, to be involved with a lot of different people, and especially in the careers that I had. And so I think East Stroudsburg just is home. It's like a safe haven to be here.
That's wonderful. Well, once again, Sue Werkheiser, we're so thrilled and happy that you came on the show, and thank you for sharing with us.
Oh, you're welcome.
Very good.
My pleasure.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of the Faith in Action podcast. My prayer is that something you heard today encouraged you, challenged you, or reminded you that faith is meant to be lived out every day. If this conversation spoke to you, we invite you to like, share, or leave a comment. Let us know how faith is showing up in your own life. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss future conversations highlighting faith at work in our church and our community. Until next time, may you go in peace, serve with love, and continue putting your faith into action.